All right. Hello, guys. Salt here. Today we're going to be going over the Vaykor Marelok. So in this series, I take a weapon, I build it out, and I test the weapon on its own merits, meaning I don't use any like external factors like Warframe abilities that boost damage, pet abilities that boost damage, pet weapons that add statuses, anything like that. I just test the weapon itself and go from there. So let's go into the build. So the Vaykor Marelok is a secondary burst fire pistol. Shoots about 2 bullets at a time. Without multi-shot. With multi-shot, it'll shoot a lot more. It is a syndicate weapon that you get from the Steel Meridian. So the Steel Meridian will have all the Vaykor versions of like 3 different weapons, and the Marelok's one of them. So it being a syndicate weapon, it has a special syndicate ability called Justice. And what Justice does is when you get a certain amount of affinity, which is about 1,000 affinity, it'll trigger its effect. And in this case, for the Vaykor, the Justice effect, it's going to trigger a blast explosion. It's going to restore 25% of your health, and it's going to give you a 30-second buff of plus 15% armor. So some of these effects can be really strong depending on like what Warframe you use. So the blast explosion doesn't scale very well. It's going to be really poor damage, but it will put a proc on enemies, like an element proc. So that's worth noting. Okay, so the mods for the build are going to be Galvanized Diffusion for multi-shot, Galvanized Shot for status chance and direct damage per status type affecting the target, Prime Pistol Gambit and Prime Target Cracker for crit chance, crit damage, Hornet Strike for a large flat damage increase, Shrapnel Rounds, which is actually a Marelok specific mod. I believe you also get this from the Syndicate as well. So this is going to increase your multi-shot by 200%, but it's going to decrease a little bit of your flat damage by 66%, which is not that big of a deal. We're going to have multiple flat damage mods. Secondary Deadhead up here is going to be 360%, and then Hornet Strike is 220%. So that's already like 5, almost 600% damage. So minus 66% is not that big of a deal, but it is going to give us plus 200% multi-shot, which is really nice. And then for elements, we're going to be going for viral. So we're going to be using Toxin and Cold to make our viral status. And you're going to be wanting to use your 60/60 mods if you have them available, just because this weapon does have a pretty respectable status chance. So you can get over 100% status by using 2 60/60s with Galvanized Shot as well. Now, if you're playing Whispers content, of course, enemies there are resistant to and immune to viral. So you don't want to be using viral for Whispers content. In Whispers, you want to be using corrosive, so you would go with a Toxin and Electric instead. For Exilus, there's not a lot of good options there. You can go with either Steady Hands. Let me switch to Exilus here. You can go with either Steady Hands to reduce your recoil, or you can go with Targeting Subsystems to increase your accuracy when you're aiming. So you are going to have to be aiming to get that accuracy buff. I'm going to go with Targeting Subsystems just because I believe it increases, personally, I believe it'll increase my DPS just because I'll be getting more shots on head where I'm trying to, hit. So I go with Targeting Subsystems. Steady Hands is another good option, though, if you like that instead. Secondary Deadhead is just going to be our large 360% flat damage increase, a little bit of a headshot multiplier, and reduced weapon recoil. That's really all there is to say about this weapon. It is way more weighted in status than it is crit chance, but it has enough crit chance for it to justify having these mods on here. But it's still going to be primarily a yellow crit build, and in fact, you're still going to get white non-crits with it as well. So this weapon, it's kind of a weaker weapon. If you can get a Riven with crit chance, that would be ideal, because it's likely not going to get you into orange crits, but it's going to get you into doing full yellow crits. I tested this weapon for a long time with galvanized crosshairs. I just don't think galvanized crosshairs beats out galvanized shot, because even with galvanized crosshairs, with that 120% crit chance, with all the conditionals where you get 5 headshot kills to get 5 times on there, it's still only putting you in yellow crits. You're not going into orange crits with it. So I don't believe galvanized crosshairs is worth it. But if you were to get a Riven that had, multiple stats, one of those stats being critical chance, and then it can get you into yellow crits just like galvanized crosshairs, plus you would have whatever extra stats that the Riven has on it, then I think the Riven would be worth putting, on the weapon, of course. So this is the build here. We're going to do 10 minutes in Kuva Survival, Steel Path. Going to kill some trash, kill some Acolytes, and then we're going to go to Lua Conjunction Survival and see how far the weapon can get us there. Now, in this series, I'm trying to go through all the Steel Path viable weapons in the game. And for the past couple of days, I've done, pretty good weapons. And so I had to pick a stinker today. And today, the stinker is the Vaykor Marelok. It is Steel Path viable, but it's a weak Steel Path viable weapon. And you'll see that when we get into it.
Scans show Grineer are harvesting Kuva nearby.
So I'm going to cast my 4 to double my armor, and that'll be the last ability I cast. Everything else will just be the weapon.
Predictable. As expected, Grineer have shut down the environmental.
Now, I don't have any external sources of armor strip either, so just keep that in mind.
Sustain your environment or attach Kuva catalysts to begin harvesting.
You just saw that blast proc right there, so it'll stagger enemies a bit. So it's a Steel Path viable weapon in that it kills trash enemies in one shot if you get headshots, 2 shots if you body shot. But it's a very slow to kill weapon. There's no punch through, there's no AOE explosions except for the syndicate thing, which is not really any significant damage at all. So anytime you see those purple damage numbers come up, that's the syndicate explosion happening. Now, when that syndicate explosion happens, anytime you see that, just also think that it is refilling my 30-second buff from the syndicate of giving me 15% additional armor. And it's also going to be healing me for 25% of my health. So, some of the syndicate buffs are pretty cool. It's just that you have to be getting the affinity to trigger those syndicate buffs from the weapon. And some syndicate weapons in the game are really good, and some are really mediocre like this one here. Against the Acolyte, I think this will do okay. I don't think it's going to do absolutely horrible, but I don't think it's going to do good either. So it's very easy to get overwhelmed with this weapon just because it's so slow to kill. But like I said, in this series, we try to mix good weapons, and then, another day we'll do a bad weapon, and this is one of the stinkers. But there are people I would hope that there are other people like me who just want to build out every weapon in the game just because they think it's fun and it's cool. So if that's the case, hey, maybe you want to build the Vaykor Marelok out anyway, even though it's kind of a weaker weapon. Oh, I ran out of life support there. I was not paying attention. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to redo this one, and I'll just do a 5-minute real quick, just so we can get to the Acolyte. The Vaykor Marelok had me pretty bored there. I completely forgot to look at my life support. So we'll just requeue it. Requeue, and instead of doing 10 minutes, we'll do 5 minutes to kill one Acolyte.
Scans show Grenier are harvesting Kuva nearby. Set off the alarms to draw them out, then steal their Kuva catalysts. Predictable. As expected, Grenier have shut down the environmental system.
So with the shrapnel, I think it's called shrapnel rounds or shrapnel shot or something, for the Marelok, you're going to be getting up to like 5-ish bullets, 5 to 6-ish bullets per shot when you have full diffusion. So that helps to get multiple statuses. Let me move to the first set of life supports. That way they're at least right in front of my face so I can remember to press the button. This weapon is not going to kill quick enough to like get your own life supports through like little yellow ones. So this is an Eximus right here. You can see it actually does like okay damage against the Eximus. I've tested weapons that are considered, you know, meta weapons that are really bad against Eximuses. So like this weapon has its strengths. Was that amazing how quick it killed an Eximus? Not really, but it's better than some weapons. You saw it. Purple proc, that was the Syndicate effect. So we got the Syndicate effect trigger there as well. You know, it's a blast proc, but I'm actually not seeing the enemies get a status on them. So maybe it doesn't produce statuses, which is unfortunate because you know, producing statuses on some enemies would increase Galvanized Shot a little bit. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, you have enough multi-shot where every time you shoot, like most of the time, the enemies are going to have like 3 statuses on them. Which is all you really need to get the most out of your Galvanized Shot. All right, before I forget it, let me hit this life support here. I'll hit another one too, just to top off at 100%. Eximus. It's a leech Eximus. Got to make sure I'm not like sitting in this little leech pool. I have a habit of doing that. And then I'm like, oh, why is it taking so long to kill this guy? So like this weapon is on like the very cusp of what I would consider a Steel Path viable weapon. You know, there are weapons worse than this that like, you know, obviously even struggle to kill trash enemies. Like this doesn't really struggle to kill trash enemies. It's just that it kills so slowly, no punch through, no AoE, that it's on like the very cusp of a Steel Path viable weapon. We have Malice. He's the hardest of the Acolytes. We're going to wait for him to put the bubble on us. Here it is. I'm going to roll out of it so I don't kill myself. And now I can focus on Malice. He will put the bubble on me again, though, so I'm going to kind of shut my mouth and try to listen for it because it's hard to see. Yeah, he just put it on me there. I rolled out of it. Let's try to get somewhere clean where there's not a crap load of enemies around me. Where are you, Malice? Is that you back there? Nope, that's not you. That's an Exodus.
When you are ready, go to extraction. You are
Oh,
running
he
out
put the
of
bubble
time.
on me. I almost killed
Consider
myself there.
extraction.
All right, so we're at the 5-minute timer here, so I'm not really too worried about life support. If I run out, that's fine. I just want to kill Malice. So as you can see, not very good. If you can get like good shots on him without enemies staggering you over and over again, it'll do okay damage, but still pretty low. He just is a slippery little guy that's running around.
Lieutenant, extraction is ready.
At least he has some slash procs on him, so he's eventually dying in this pack of enemies. I think I have the Malice bubble on me because I'm taking a large amount of damage. Yeah, I'm not worried about life support, so because I'm leaving after 5 minutes anyway. Nope, that's not him. He was the one on the left. He's dead. So you saw that was pretty painful. Pretty painful. Head over to extraction, and we'll roll out. And Naros has, you know, kind of the benefit of if you run out of life support, he can just kind of stay in the mission because he has a crap load of health and health regen, or at least with arcanes, he has health regen. We'll queue up that Lua Conjunction next. Now, Lua Conjunction is going to be a little bit stronger enemies. They're going to be 180 to 200. And at the 5-minute mark, you're going to usually get Thraxes and the Acolyte spawning at the same time. So weapons that struggle against those enemies are going to probably fail at 5 minutes. So I'm just going to say I will probably fail at 5 minutes. And by probably, I mean definitely. So just because this is a weak weapon. So in 5 minutes there, we got 99 kills. Now, when I do these tests, when I hit 10 minutes, average weapons usually get like 350 to 400 kills. So well, this says 6, but I was fighting the Acolyte for a little bit past that, the 5-minute timer. So in like 5 minutes, I got like 99 kills. It's really bad. Really bad. So I mean, even if you doubled that and said, okay, I went the whole 10 minutes, I would have gotten 200 kills. Like that's still well below average. So like my Euphona video, it's very, very similar to like the Euphona, where it's just a little bit too slow at killing enemies. So we're going to go to Lua. We're going to go to Lua Circulus for the conjunction. Now, this will have mixed enemies, so they're not just all going to be Grineer. They're going to be a little mix of them.
Enemies have grown fierce. Use all that you have learned.
I'm going to cast my 4 to double my armor, and that'll be the last ability I use.
Stand by for life support.
Now, someone had suggested doing the Miter Incarnate next. So I wanted to do a bad weapon today just because I've done a lot of good weapons lately. And the Miter Incarnate is a good weapon. So, I'll do the bad weapon today, which is this one, and I will do the Miter Incarnate tomorrow. That's a really good weapon, the Miter. Hit this life support right here, just so I don't forget it, like the Kuva Survival. Master there. It's probably trying to steal my weapon, so I killed him. So this weapon will do okay, I believe, against the Thraxes. Like, if the Thraxes were the only thing that was up, and I went into the fight with 100 life support, I think maybe I would pass that 5-minute mark, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to get the Thraxes and the Acolyte at about the same time. And I will also likely not go into it at 100% life support, just because, this weapon struggles on making its own little life supports from kills, just because it kills very slowly. So I'm actually going to hit this life support here, and then I'm going to try to make my way to the next set of 3 whenever they spawn, which it doesn't look like they've started spawning yet. There's the next set of life supports. I'm going to make my way over. I'm going to head over kind of slowly so I can kill some enemies on the way and maybe get some yellow life supports. There's one right here. I'm going to need every single one I can get. There's another one. We're at 4 minutes, 30 seconds. So in 30 seconds, we're going to get the Thraxes. Thraxes are coming in 3 seconds.
The longer you hold out, the deeper I can search. But if you need to leave, extraction is ready. Tenno, the void has summoned a new presence and it craves our life support. Destroy these.
So these guys are going to be sucking life support while they're up, so I got to get them down quickly, which is a little bit of a struggle with this weapon. And we have the Acolyte coming. So Thraxes are going to be the main priority, though. Angst is not too bad as long as he doesn't start hitting me too much in melee. There's the Thrax. I will be surprised if this if this gets past the 5 minute. You never know. If I can get a few good crits and headshots on this guy, I might be able to. He's kind of facing the wrong direction, though. There he is. Leave me alone, Angst. If I let Angst hit me too much, he'll start staggering me, and I don't want that. Okay, I need to run to that life support and hit it. There it is. And then I need to immediately run right back to the Thrax. Because while he's up, this is just going to get sucked right away anyway. Got my weapon stolen, of course. Worst possible time. Alright, Thrax is dead. Oh my goodness, can we do this? Can we stabilize? That's the question. I need another like life support to spawn like right this second, which it's not going to. Because I've basically been hitting them as soon as they spawned. I need to... My priority actually right now is killing little guys to spawn yellow life supports, but I don't think it's going to happen. One is spawning, but it's going to take a while to get there, yeah. Alright, so we'll kill this Acolyte here, and then we will roll out, and I'll go over the build one more time. For anyone who is possibly interested in building this weapon out. Okay, you know, even though Inaros is strong, you want to be careful about face tanking this guy, because he does a lot of damage. He has beat the hell out of my Inaros to death before. It's tempting, because it's like, oh, I can get easy headshots on him, but he will beat the hell out of you. Get some of my little scope stack, or not scope stacks, my other stacks up. There he is. He's dead. So, not a very good Acolyte killer. It's actually kind of a better Eximus and Thrax killer than it is an Acolyte killer. Still not a very good Eximus or Thrax killer either, though. It's just trying to grasp at the things that it's a little bit good at. So, we'll go to Extraction here, and then hit up the build one more time.
Your will was greater. This is good.
So we did 9 minutes. At like 5 minutes, we started really just fighting the Thraxes, and so it's gonna hurt our kills on like little guys. I'm gonna expect that we're probably still only at about like 150-ish kills. Let's see. Yeah, total kills 147. So 147 for 9 minutes. But again, at the 5-minute mark, we really started focusing on just 2 big dudes. So, okay, so let's go over the build here. Vaykor Marelok. It is a pistol that you get from the Steel Meridian. It's a burst fire pistol, shoots two bullets at a time. Of course, it's increased with multi-shot. Now, as a Syndicate weapon,
As ready as you will ever be.
it has a Syndicate effect, and for the Vaykors, it's going to be Justice. And Justice, when you fill the affinity bar, I believe it's like 1,000 affinity. When you get 1,000 affinity, it's going to trigger its effect. It's going to do a 25-meter blast explosion that I thought would actually put the blast status on enemies, but it doesn't look like it does. It just does blast damage. So you don't get the blast proc, unfortunately. It restores 25% health, and it increases your armor by plus 15% for 30 seconds. So that's a cool little effect. It's not super useful, but it's cool. Galvanized Fusion we're going to be using for multi-shot. Galvanized Shot we're going to be using for status chance and direct damage per status type affecting the target. Prime Pistol Gambit and Prime Target Cracker to try to get us into a little bit of yellow crits. If you can get a Riven with crit chance, you will be comfier in yellow crits. You will be like fully into yellow crits. Whereas this build right here is a yellow crit, but you're still getting white non-crit build, unfortunately. I did try it with Galvanized Crosshairs, and I didn't feel like it was really worth it. It did put it into yellow crits, but you would also have to make sure you're at full Galvanized Crosshair stacks, which isn't terribly hard, but I feel like Galvanized Shot's a little bit stronger. Hornet Strike for a large flat damage increase. Shrapnel Rounds for a large multi-shot increase. The negative 66% damage is not really that big of a deal, just because you get large flat damage. You get 220 here, you get 360 with Deadhead, so that's like almost 600. So having a negative 66 when you have like plus 600 flat damage is not that big of a deal. Pistol Pestilence and Frostbite to make viral, because this weapon needs every bit of help it can get. So viral is going to make enemies a little bit weaker for each proc it has on them. And then just remember, in Whisper's content, enemies are resistant and immune to viral. So instead, use corrosive. Targeting subsystems is a good option for the Exilus because there's nothing really much better. You can go with steady hands to reduce recoil. That's another option, but you do get recoil reduction with Deadhead as well, so you don't super need steady hands. So I go targeting subsystems, which is just going to increase the accuracy a bit, because the two shots that come out of the Marelok are not pinpoint. Even with this, they don't become pinpoint, but it becomes a little bit more accurate. Then for the Arcane slot, we're going to be going for secondary Deadhead for the large 360% damage increase, the 30% headshot multiplier, which, again, this weapon needs everything to help it, so that helps, and then negative recoil. So the weapons elements aren't really that bad. They're actually pretty cool. So viral, of course, is going to be weighted higher just because you have two mods making viral. So that's going to be at like almost 500. But you have impact at 250. You have slash at 120. So once you get your multi-shot up, like once you get your conditionals here and you're getting like 5 bullets per shot, you're likely, every shot is likely to produce like at least 2, maybe even 3 statuses. So you're getting the most out of your galvanized shot, which is nice. I tried this build with, where is it? Oh, my Exiluses. I tried this build with, instead of, I actually just took off shrapnel rounds completely, and I used the primed heat one. There it is, prime heated charge. I use that one. The unfortunate thing with prime heated charge is that it weights heat so high that you're actually less likely to get the other statuses. Like this will put your heat at like 800. So like the viral stat's pretty high here at 487, but you put this on and you're at like friggin' 800 heat. So, you know, you're going to be getting more heat procs than anything, which, you know, is nice. Like, cool, heat procs are great. But you need to get 3 procs on enemies to get the most out of galvanized shot. So I don't think prime heated charge is a good option. I would rather go with just shrapnel rounds for multi-shot. More multi-shot, more bullets, more statuses. Galvanized shot works better. So, okay, so that's the build there. This is a weak weapon. If you're like limited on resources, I would suggest not building it out. I mean, of course, build it and level it for the mastery. But building it out, if you're low on resources, I would suggest against it. It's steel path viable, but it's right at the cusp of like being steel path viable. It's almost not steel path viable. So, so that's up to you if you want to dump some resources to build it out. So as to Vaykor Marelok, I really appreciate you guys watching. If you liked it, give it a like, and yeah, thank you so much.